What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Investing Bros. And I apologize to people that aren't watching this stream, but people that are watching Ben's stream right on the other side of the wall from me. I do think that they're wrapping up here sooner rather than later. But we got a lot to talk about today, guys, because Bitcoin is doing exactly what we have been talking about over the last week. And I don't believe that the bleeding is done just yet. We're going to talk about price action here on this show. Also, some big news, as you can see in that thumbnail. Richard Hart being sued by the SEC. What's new? Man, the SEC is just not done. We're going to give you our complete breakdown and what our views are on that and give you some information on what's happening over there so you guys can stay updated on everything crypto. We got a couple other stories there as well, but those are the two big things we're talking about today: Bitcoin price and Richard Hart and Hex. We're breaking it all down. If that's something you guys are excited about, and if you love the Investing Bros, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you are new and this is your first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Guys, I think we are less than 100 away from 4,000. When I checked this morning, I'm pulling this back up really quickly. We are sitting at 3,901 subscribers. We didn't make it by the end of July, guys, but we got stinking close. Continue, though. Let's get to 4,000. Some cool things will happen at 4,000. We're going to give away some memberships. We're also going to get Gia S. is going to be a moderator in chat. So if you guys love Gia, if you love Investing Bros, you got to hit subscribe, and you got to get other people to hit subscribe as well. I know crypto can be hard sometimes to stay tuned in with every single day, but those who do it right now are going to be the ones that make the money in the long run. With that said, though, I'm going to introduce my co-host this morning, Mr. T Shroom from down in Florida. T Shroom, how are you doing? How are the pups?
Oh, man. Tim, I'm glad that you asked, because the pups are a lot more obedient this morning. They're a lot more compliant with the rules, which are do not bark during the hours of 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and on. Just in general, no barking at all is what I prefer. So they're doing a lot better at their task in that regard, and I'm happy that they are. But I'm doing better than I deserve. You know, I really do deserve barking dogs every morning, and yeah, but I'm not getting them. So this morning I am doing better than that. Seeing Stevo Sativio Shimoto in the chat, he is he gave me some good wisdom this morning on how I could prevent the little pooches from barking. Also seeing Jenna X saying best morning TA show. So that's pretty awesome.
Hey, come on.
But I do have my quote of the day today. It's a little bit fuzzy. I'm not exactly sure why, but we're going to go with it. The quote of the day for today being, play with matches, you're going to get burned. So there you go, Tim. There you go.
I'm trying to get my quote of the day, but it's not working, and it's not zooming in the way I wanted it to. So that's tragic. So we're not having a Dwight Schrute quote of the day today, guys. Sorry to break your hearts and make you, so we're probably gonna have people click off the video right now because of that. No Dwight, but you do have the bobblehead. And fun fact, you also gonna notice, guys, you can see my chair behind me. I'm sitting today because my desk sometimes decides to act stupid, and I don't know if any of you guys have stand-up desks. Does anyone ever have the problem where they go to stand the desk up or change the level, and the thing completely disregards you and goes the opposite direction and moves down? Like earlier this morning, this desk was like down at my knees, and I'm very glad just to get it back up to where I could sit here. But it has no interest in going to the upside for me this morning. Frustrating.
That sucks.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get in on some stuff here. You guys know, before we do anything, and I love crypto and you guys love crypto and you're here for crypto, but we got to do some reading of names here in chat before we get into that crypto goodness. The first commenter of the day was Mike Play. Congratulations to Mike. Elo Brown coming in second with that green badge. And here's the thing, guys. I think, I could be wrong, T-shirt, but I think 1 week from today is when those badges, if you've been a member for over a month, can turn yellow. They'll turn yellow, and after 2 months they turn red, and then 6 months they turn blue, and then after a whole year they turn purple. But we should be seeing some yellow badges next week. That will be exciting. But let's get some other names here in chat. Bobby Smoot is here. Eric Wallen is here saying Uncle Tim is here. Who's Uncle Tim? Am I Uncle Tim? Maybe I'm Uncle Tim. I don't know. Let's see what else is going on in here. Gia S is here. Alex Green is here. Crypto Pew Pew Cruz is here this morning. Let's see who else. It's a Crypto Mario with an XRP logo in the background. There we go. Crimson Caravan Company is here as well. Let's see who else. Oh, rookie move, Tim. You didn't even silence your phone. Goodness gracious. Justin Eubanks is here. Mr. J is here. Brian D. Curtis Rorick. Peter Provost. Let's get 4 more. I don't know why I said 4, but 4 seems like a good number. Yair Navarro, 1. Stephen E. Shrum, 2. Philly Skills, 14, 28. And the last name of the day, Nancy Croy. Shout out to everybody else in chat. There's a lot of people here that I did not get to read your names, and I do apologize. But it doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means it's time to go ahead and get on into the content. T-Shroom, let's start off with our economic outlook. Just in case you guys are new here, we do this every single day. This is the cool thing about Investing Bros is we're trying to help you guys understand and get a complete picture of the market so you can think for yourself and invest wisely. So it's not just about charts. It's not just about hitting the news. Make sure you're staying up to date with what's happening in the economy. Make sure you're staying up to date with what's happening in crypto, and make sure you're staying up to date with what's happening in the stock market, because it all, even if you have no intentions of trading stocks or anything else, you just want to trade crypto, it still gives you a complete picture of what's happening in the crypto world. That is why we go over it every single morning. We didn't have anything breaking this morning yet, but here at 10 a.m. after we are done being live, we will get manufacturing PMI and JOLTS job openings. We are expecting that number to dip after last month. We came in at 9.824. The expectation is 9.6 to 9.5. So let's see. We'll talk about that probably tomorrow if that comes in low. We know Jerome Powell wants that to come in low. Doesn't look like there's necessarily anything massive happening tomorrow. ADP employment change, so a lot of employment stuff. Crude oil stocks change. That could be interesting. We'll maybe check in on that tomorrow. Going across the pond, though, over to Great Britain for Thursday, BOE interest rate decision, Bank of England's rate decision, could be very interesting. The expectation, though, is they're going to raise another 25 points because they like to copy the United States. That's what happens in England. Then also coming back over to the U.S. on Thursday, 10 a.m., we will have ISM Services PMI. Expected to tick a little bit lower than last month here. Anything else big? Unemployment rate coming out this Friday. So this Friday, we will definitely discuss that. Again, very significant when it comes to what is the Fed going to do in future rate hikes. This could be part of the reason why that pause stays on. We'll cover that more here in just a second. But let's go ahead and move on. Looking at 24-hour liquidations, guys, listen. Today I'm on top of it. I hit refresh, then it refreshes you to 1 hour. So you don't want to just pay attention here, even though in the last hour, Bitcoin is leading the way. The 24 hours is where we're going. Notice our sea of green. Yes, the sea of green. It's not good, guys. That means those are longs that were liquidated. Bitcoin leading the way with 22.79 million longs liquidated. No, that's not that many longs, but that much worth of longs were liquidated. Ethereum 17.27. Of course, the big two are going to have the big two liquidations, but some other noticeables. Curve continued. I know we talked about it yesterday, guys, and I told you guys if you're entering a trade, make sure you keep that stop loss tight. We might take a look at it again because yes, it dipped more, but it could be even more of a juicy buy at the moment, despite the hack, despite bad publicity. Traders know sometimes that's the best thing to jump in on. XRP also with $4.5 million of liquidations within the last 24 hours. So, yeah, guys, the Bears won the day yesterday. Will there be a bounce? Maybe a small one, but not for long. Let's take a look on over to Trueflation, ticking in a little higher today at 2.27, which leads us over to our CME futures predictions of our next interest rates. We talked about it a little bit over when we were looking at the economic data. 79% right now, we're saying that we're going to go ahead and pause here in September in about 50 days or so. What do we? Yeah, 50. Yeah, well, look at that. Look at that, Tim. Hit it right on the dot. 50 days from now, we'll get the next meeting. Of course, guys, when we're looking at this other data over here, the reason why it's so important is because what happens over here could be actually a bigger deal than what happens here. Of course, we want to know if borrowing money is going to get more expensive over the next 6 months or so. It still looks like, let's see, is May is the first. Let's see what March is doing. We're still expecting May to be the first. May of 2024 is the first month that we'll see a rate cut. But what can affect that is if we start to see unemployment go to the upside, if we start to see jobs go to the downside, that could bring Jerome Powell and the Fed to believe that the supply to demand in the job market is lower, and therefore it could be the right time to go ahead and pivot. So that's kind of what we're keeping an eye on there. Let's keep moving on, though. A very curious thing happened this morning. Crypto and Bitcoin fear and greed index, despite the fact, and I was going back and forth, despite the fact that price opened this morning lower than it opened yesterday. And what I'm talking about is last night on the 31st, as we closed the month of July, we closed lower than we closed the 30th of July, yet the fear and greed index went to the upside. So yesterday it came in at 50. Today it's coming in at 53. You guys are going to see when we go over the wrong one. Look at that. It'll go over G and Tech, though. Well, that's Georgia. Hopefully he doesn't sign for Georgia. Excuse me, guys. Wrong tab, though. Hit the X. It's so confusing now. Now the X is black. That out of my corner of my eye, I thought that was my trading view tab. Let's take a look at the daily chart here on Bitcoin. We're about to jump into charts for real, but I'm just showing you guys this morning. So we print the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index at the start of candles, right? So we started today off at 29,200. Of course, we dropped earlier this morning. But what's curious is at this start of 29.2, we went to 53. After the day before, we started at 29. 29. It was only a couple dollars higher, 29,279, but that one started off at 50. So this doesn't really necessarily make sense why Bitcoin Fear and Greed went up. The only thing that you probably should take away from that is that is further confirmation that more than likely the dip is not over, that we are moving to the downside because price is going down, yet Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is at best hovering, if not moving to the upside. Not a positive sign for the short term on Bitcoin. Let's keep moving on, though, and do our crypto market open this morning. So you're going to see a lot of red here, guys, with the exception of, oh my goodness, BNB in the green over the last 24 hours. That's strange. I know there's some big deals with Binance in Dubai. I think that might be one of the stories recovering. If not, we'll mention it here a little bit later. But Binance got some good news with institutional adoption. Let's see, even in the top 10, looks like the biggest loser is Solana. Kind of makes sense. They've had a little bit more success here recently. So the more you rally, the harder you fall. Harder you fall, sometimes the better you rally. Let's see what else is happening within the top 20. Bitcoin Cash down. It's been having some success. So you're seeing coins that have maybe had more success recently are the bigger losers and the bigger losers on today. Let's look at the biggest gainers, biggest losers. Trust Wallet coming in number 1, but only up 6%. Bone Shiba Swap. Okay, it's number 95, but going to be honest with you guys, don't know anything about that one. Up 3%. Couple other Sui up 0.8%, nothing huge. So not a lot of green this morning, as we said. Going to our biggest losers. Compound has been back and forth between biggest losers and gainers here recently. It is our biggest loser this morning, coming in down 10% within the last 24 hours. ApeCoin down here as well as 5. Aave down 9. And again, like we talked about before, Curve is down again this morning. Solana is down this morning. So pretty red day for crypto. But with that said, guys, we got 100 people here watching. Make sure you go and smash that like button because it is time for our charts. And by the way, guys, our charts today, we're always brought to you by Chart Prime. We love Chart Prime and those indicators, but we also have a very cool thing with BitGet. We have a new partnership with them. And if you sign up with our link down below with BitGet, actually even T-Shroom, could you put that in chat so people can even click on it in chat?
Absolutely.
When you sign up with our account and use our link for the next week, you get $20 put into your account for trading. So even if you already have a BitGet account, go ahead and just help out the channel. Get a new BitGet account. It is a thing that it is for non-American citizens. When you're an American citizen, there's ways to kind of use it, but we're not going to talk about it here on YouTube. But for all of our fans and friends in Europe and England and anywhere else, most other places, you can get an account on BitGet and sign in and start trading today. So make sure you take advantage of that. Help yourself out and help the channel out. Let's go ahead and talk about this, guys. Bitcoin is bouncing a little bit this morning. You're seeing a big wick below us. We got down last night into the T-box we've been talking about here. We dipped all the way down to 28,482. But, guys, I don't know if that is the end. And one of the reasons why is we come down to these lower time frames. Let's go to the 4-hour. Look at what we're seeing here. Remember, we talked about it was Curve, and Curve kept dropping for sure. But Curve showed something yesterday that I'm not seeing necessarily on Bitcoin. Look at the highest histograms of volume coming in here. They match the big red candles. When we finally got our reversal, there was a lot here. The price dropped all the way down to 24.8, bounced back up, ended up closing green. Yes, the volume is a little bigger than that, but it wasn't a peak volume. This isn't very much volume coming in here at the bottom, which to me already communicates, guys, before we get even too far into the TA, right now what I'm seeing on the 4-hour chart, looking at the volume, this is one of those things. Remember the saying, and I butcher it all the time, but I think I've gotten it right. Where you candle wick, you will candle stick. Hit the like button if I got that right.
That's pretty good.
That's what we're looking at here, guys. And I think this is one of those things where you candle wick, it's going to go even lower where you candle stick. I don't think that we've reached the bottom. I think this is more of a, as we started downward fall, a lot of people more than likely took profit on their shorts right here, because even remember, like as we were looking at over on the liquidations, which one was on liquidation? There we go. Liquidations here. A lot of longs liquidated. Let's see. When you click on it, the amount of shorts liquidated was only 2 million. So 20 million longs compared to 2 million shorts. I'm not seeing that down here. There's a lot of shorts liquidated to move back up. More so, I would say this was probably take profits. They're regrouping. Let's see if the bulls can mount up a little bit of a support here, but more than likely, we're seeing the bears continue to push down. Let's take a look at some indicators and oscillators. We are seeing on these lower time frames, like 4 hour, we are getting these flashes of being oversold, which is one of the reasons why I do believe maybe you have a potential small rebound bounce, maybe back up to this support level we just kind of dropped below, around 29,000 even. You guys can see, even though we had some wicks go below, there's a lot of bounces right on that level over the last week or so, going back to July 24th. However, I do think when we go even lower, let's go on the hourly chart. We're already kind of like regrouping here. We bounced here last night. We had a nice little rally, and you guys can see we're dropping again, but the oscillators are not that low. To me, I think that we're seeing, again, a reloading. The same way we've kind of talked about this in the past on the more bullish side. We've talked about reloadings happening there. It's going to happen on the bearish side as well. The bears aren't going to be able to do it all in one night. They're going to take a couple of punches, and they're going to take a couple of waves. Sure enough, guys, that's exactly what I'm seeing happen here on Bitcoin. I am seeing a potential move to the downside. Even look at here, go back down to the histograms, guys. Look at that biggest candle of volume with the red. Even on that bottom candle on the hourly chart, the histogram's just not that significant. Same thing over here, not that significant, guys. I do not believe that this fall is over whatsoever. Let's take a look. Let's go back out here to the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at our indicators here and see what they are telling us this morning. No reversal flash coming in after we had a reversal flash back here on the 24th. I told you guys, even though I love seeing it because we don't see those that often, I didn't expect that one to hold, and sure enough, we've gone below it just now. We also rejected right perfectly off those multi-time frame resistance levels right up here around 29, almost 400, but 368 or so. Now the question is, again, where do we come to the downside? And that takes us out back to the daily chart here, guys. I'm going to say it once again. I've been saying it. I think that we're going to have some boring sideways action here, but more further room to the downside where we're going to retouch this blue level. And I do believe we're coming down towards 28,000. But I want to prepare you guys just in case we end up going lower. There's an area down here that still is in correlation. If we start dropping quickly within the next couple of days, keep an eye on 27,450 to about 27,200. Why is that? Well, let's go ahead and pull up Fibonacci levels here, going back to the last time we touched this rising blue level. This is perfectly our golden pocket right here. Well, it's a little off here when I drew it this morning. What did I do? You know what? Don't worry about it. The exact details. Let's see. Right there. Boom. All right. It's nicer when you do it live. All right. So we have this new T box coming in down here towards 27.4, 27.2. That is the golden pocket. We could fall all the way there. You guys know that one of the reasons we're kind of looking at this range is not only having to do with levels that we're getting from our multi-time frame support and resistance right here, our 12-hour number 2 coming in at 28.6. We're also seeing that was where we had candle body closes here back on one of the more recent peaks before this big rally back on May 28th. That kind of gives us the bottom of this level. But when you look down at the golden pocket, not only is that the golden pocket in Fibonacci, it's also another level of resistance we just had on June 7th. So for those reasons, guys, that is kind of what I'm looking at. And just so you know, even a fall all the way down here towards 27.2, you're still looking at a higher low set. This does not mean that the pre-bull market rally we've been calling it is over. I still think there's a good chance we make a push up towards 36,000, maybe even 36.4. But in the short run, guys, this dip I do not believe is over. I think worst case scenario, we're really talking about $27,000 level, 27.2. I think more realistically, I'm still expecting that 28. Watch us just kind of slowly build our way over here, hit this in August, and then have a bounce. That is kind of where I'm sitting at the moment. But that does mean it is not time too long. Not necessarily overwhelmingly saying you should short either, but you're definitely going to get a better opportunity shorting right now on Bitcoin than you are longing. That is my personal opinion. Let's take a look at some other coins this morning. XRP, for example, one of the other big topics that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. Guys, we're also doing another thing I predicted, that we're losing this level right here at 69 cents. Currently, we're trading at 68.9. However, you guys will notice after closing, the lowest we've closed on the daily chart yesterday. This is last night. We closed right at 69.6, right at the 0.382 level on Fibonacci that we've been covering. Now we're making our way down. We've wicked as low as 67 cents this morning. Of course, we have a little bit of a bounce here in XRP. But people called me crazy when I said we could revisit the 57, 55 cent region. And it definitely looks right now like we're heading down that way. There will be a little bit of support hitting about 64. This is a level that I think even if you were to pull up multi-time frame, yeah, we're going to come in number 4 in the 12-hour. That's actually 65 cents is what we're looking at instead of 64. But I've seen a lot of other technical analysts talk about that range. I guarantee you, let me look at that real quick. I guarantee you it has something to do even with a shorter time frame Fibonacci. If I were to pull up from the explosion of this rally, let's go all the way to the peak. Yeah, golden pocket. They're looking at golden pocket right here between 63.6 cents and 65 cents. So watch that area as well. But again, I'm just going to reiterate this just in case anyone is new here watching. You guys have not gotten to hear my XRPTA. We talked about the significance of this resistance level right here that served us for well over a year. And it also has historical precedence going back to be support and resistance several times within the history of XRP's price. You do not just blow through these levels without coming back to touch them and turn them into support. So I am bullish on XRP in the sense of we're not going below 55 cents, but I'm bearish in the short term saying this 69 cent, 67 cent region we're currently around is not going to hold. And I do believe the prices will continue to drop. Let's take a look. We got a lot of time here left. Let's look at some other coins this morning. Let's check in on Cardano. Another big loss here. Again, guys, it makes sense when Bitcoin's going to fall unless something is really flooding Bitcoin, but there's amazing altcoin news. You're going to see all of them fall together. Well, Cardano is kind of hovering here and making some not so great price action happenings happen right now. We just dropped below this support level we've had. If you go back to the candle body closes of June 10th, we really hadn't closed anything below this level. Well, not only did we wick down this morning, even the green candles we're watching right now are struggling to get back above that level. Let's take a look at the oscillators. We are seeing bullish divergence. We are seeing some oversold flashes here on the 4-hour chart. So if Cardano bulls want to rally, we have some strength here. We do have some we are showing signs of being more oversold than overbought, but at the moment, you guys can see we're really struggling. And this is down on the 4-hour chart. When you come back out to the daily chart, we were sitting right at that mid level, and we just lost it. We're losing it. So longer time frames are still kind of screaming bearish. Maybe you see Cardano make a wick above, kind of fake out, maybe get back up here towards this region because it's so oversold. But I do believe Cardano, just like the rest of what we're talking about, is moving to the downside. Let's take a look at multi-time frame here. What are we sitting at? Yeah, I kind of have a support level sitting right there around 29 cents. It's been hovering. It's right at 30 cents, give or take, really. So 30 cents kind of holding up there. The next level we're looking at is down towards 28 cents. Could be some interesting support for Cardano if it continues to fall here. Yeah, not look, guys. There's just not a lot right now looking good. Let's take a look, though, at Curve again, because we did talk about it yesterday, and I realized that it ended up losing the level we discussed. And we discussed the significant volume over here. And even though we have a big histogram, we had a small candle. Well, guess what? We ended up dropping again. We came all the way down here towards 48.5 cents. And now we're seeing some volume come back. Now, this is not, I can't back up and say, oh, you can go back and buy this level. But this is kind of what we're talking about. I was actually talking with Johnny, I believe, last night. We actually looked at this trade and we said, man, even though a lot of people probably entered here, and I probably would have entered one there, that was another juicy one to get in on. And sure enough, what we're seeing happen right now, again, guys, low volume bottom, lower than this bottom over here, but then the volume comes in on the upside. That was a good little trade. If someone had taken advantage of it, that could have been, even if you're conservative, that could have been somewhere between, you could have been up, what is that, 22% on curve. That's just part of the game. When you take risks, and curve was a risk, you can make some big gains. And sure enough, that's exactly what traders are doing. Now, it is getting back to being overextended here on the 1 hour chart. I do think it has a little more room. It could go to the upside. 4 hour chart says it has a lot, but hourly chart, you might see that you might see as we're kind of rounding off. I think that this little short-term rally is over, but keep your eyes on this for the next couple of days, because again, when you're looking at daily chart, when you're looking at 4 hour chart, definitely seeing a lot of oversold low levels here on curve. And because of that bad news, there's a lot of people that don't want to touch it or want to sell, and that's all the more reason why traders who know what they're doing could kind of manipulate the space and take advantage of it and then have a push back up to the upside. So keep your eyes on curve, keep your eyes on these coins. What time do we have here? 9:26. Man, I'm flying through the TA this morning. T-Shroom, let's go back to BroCam here real quick.
Let's do it.
And we can ask the audience. We'll look at one more altcoin this morning, but I want to get your take, T-Shroom. What is your take on the crypto market this morning as you're looking through those charts, listening to that TA?
I think it's a sit on your hands day and kind of watch, because usually, on a down day when you're seeing a lot of pullbacks, you'd go ahead and buy. You buy the dip. I'm seeing dips in Compound right now. That's one that I've been buying dips on. I'm seeing dips on FET.ai. But I'm kind of sitting on my hands today, maybe not pressing the buy button, just because that uptrending line of support that puts us around 27.5. I think now might be the time, because you've got a couple of developing stories that we're going to get to here later in the show, and we might start to see some downside, like what you said, where we candlestick. I'm just like, what are all the analysts doing right now? They're analyzing levels below where we are right now. Why? Because that's where we're more likely to go. You don't see anybody debating, oh, is it 35 next, or is it 45 next? There's not a lot of upside debate. There's a lot of downside debate. So I personally think 27 is going to be our next checkpoint, and then you'll see buying there like you've never seen before. And there's going to be all kinds of short liquidations, because there'll be a debate of whether or not it's going to break that uptrending line of support. And yeah. I don't think we're going to get a break there. I know you think we might go down to 25, but yeah, I think you're going to be wrong. I think we're going to hit 27.5 and not go too much lower than that.
T-Shroom, here's why I'm not wrong. And this is why we're going to hit 25 at some point, even if we are not going to hit 25 this time.
Sure.
Let's think through this, guys. There really is no good explainable reason why we're dropping right now. The main reason why I predicted we would drop has to do with how the charts are set up, not to do with how news was set up or fundamentals or who was saying what, because we've seen a lot of bullish opinions here recently. For example, we see JP Morgan and Wells Fargo and all these different people coming out with bullish predictions on different crypto prices. But I've told you guys in the past, I've kind of learned when there's no facts really backing it up, but it's just a bunch of opinions, and those opinions are bullish, a lot of times you're going to see the market kind of take advantage of that and manipulate it to the downside. So T-Shroom, what we're looking right now, again, I'm kind of looking, I think 28,000 is a good spot to watch. But if we lose that, now you're talking about that 27.4 or so. Think through it with me. If it only takes manipulation to get us down to 27.4, imagine later this fall when potentially an actual economic disaster happens. We see the stock market start to crash. We see people actually very concerned. We see, we know that $1 trillion of retail debt. We know that the commercial real estate is not doing well. When the debtors come a-calling and the economy looks like it could have some trouble, if we were able to just manipulate it down to 27, imagine what can happen if there's actually a disaster.
Well, look, I'm not, in this analysis, I'm not saying anything about taking into consideration a disaster. A disaster could put us back down to 20. I'll just go ahead and say that. Like, I concede that. I'm not, and what I would say is that there is some bearish fundamental news right now. You got the I mean, we don't want to jump ahead to the stories quite yet, but I do think there
Go
is
ahead,
some
go ahead and
bearish
tease it.
news.
Yeah. Go ahead
Well, I
and tease
mean,
it. We'll talk. We'll break it down here in a second.
you've got some government regulators not being super friendly to some major leaders who've spun up their own cryptos that have been around for a while, right? And then you also have Curve. We've reported on it yesterday and now today. Curve is not looking very stable, right? It's not looking very structurally stable. It's a major uh, it's a major part of the Ethereum ecosystem, and I think that can ruffle little feathers. It can cause a little bit of insecurity in new buying, certainly, but it can also potentially motivate people to sell. Just in crypto in general, right? If I'm looking to deploy $100,000 for a client right now, and they want it in crypto, I might be saying, well, Curve is kind of freaking everybody out right now. Maybe I'll just wait, right? So that buying pressure right there is not there right now. I would say it's going to come back in, but
Yeah.
if I'm deploying for a client or if I'm deploying for myself, I want to wait a little bit longer to see how things go. And the worst case scenario is that I get to buy a little bit lower. I guess a worst case scenario than that is that it takes off without my client's money in it. But that's kind of the way I see it going.
We're about to jump into the market open here, but I'll finish this up. So my first thought is, I don't want to belittle the Curve.
Don't
hack,
belittle.
but at the same time, guys, is that the worst thing that we've seen happen anytime recently? Like the
For
markets, sure. Things like that happen frequently.
For sure.
Again, I think that what you're seeing is, like we said before, and this happens a lot, the charts will tell you the story. The charts will tell you the levels. The charts will tell you when things should kind of happen. And then stories come in that kind of act as the triggers. So I do think we've had some stories that acted as triggers, but in reality, this was going to happen the whole time. There's a lot of convenience going on. Even when you're looking at the stories where with regulation happening with officials and government officials saying different things, they're just picking their time to say things. They've had those opinions the whole time. They're just choosing when to speak and when not to speak.
No,
and
not politicians. They're not motivated by anything but helping the people.
I still hold to, and I think I understand why you're saying, you're not planning for, a disaster scenario, but I kind of think, especially when you're looking, there's a reason why we cover the economic outlook.
Whoa. I didn't say I wasn't planning for a disaster scenario. I said in that specific analysis of the question of how low will Bitcoin go on in the next 2 weeks, I was not considering a disaster in my analysis.
But
I could if you want me to project that, and I did 20,000.
But whales do, and big investors do. Big investors take into account what could happen to the economy, and they think about. That's why it's so important. Again, when we look at the next couple months of predictions for CME, we all know though those CME predictions are going to change. We all know they're going to continue to update. They're going to change their opinion on what date are we going to see the first rate cut. Are we going to get more interest rate hikes? It doesn't matter what they actually say from the sense of actually predicting what happens to the interest rate. What it tells us is how confident our investors are right now in what the economy is doing. And when news happens and different things happen, price gets baked in early rather than late. Black swan events happen, and that takes us all by surprise, and that's the big dips. Like the pandemic back in 2020, yes, you're going to find some people are going to predict that, but for the most part, we were all taken aback. We were very surprised. I don't think that if there's a big stock market crash or something bad happens to the economy, that's going to take any of us by surprise, because we've been watching this country just continue to print money, to continue to be irresponsible with that money, and to watch debt. We've had to raise debt ceiling in our government. We've watched retail debt hit all-time highs. Is that a black swan event if the bubble pops? I don't think so. We might be surprised on that day, but for the most part, most investors are already thinking through and getting themselves prepared for Bidenomics is not working. It's a Band-Aid on a gushing wound. There's a moment where it'll all come down and it'll all explode, and you got to invest and prepare yourself for that. That's one of the reasons why I think we're not letting things get too crazy out of control. And I'm going to continue to hold that. That's one of the reasons why I'm still predicting a high Bitcoin dominance. There's a reason why I'm still predicting lower prices for some of these altcoins and predicting a $20,000 to $25,000 Bitcoin. I'm not saying a new low on Bitcoin, but people who think that Bitcoin is untouchable and which it's just nothing but upside from here, no, sorry, we're going to revisit some levels because the economy is not as good as what a lot of our current officials want us to. They want to try to make us believe to pacify us. But we'll talk more about that later. There's a lot more we can get into. It's 9:34 T-Shroom. It's time to get into our market open. We talked crypto this morning, but what are the stocks looking like?
All right, absolutely. Well, we're seeing Crypto Set Guy down there in the chat as well. And 88 Ace said that he wanted us to look at the Cardano total value lock versus Ethereum. So Cardano's TVL is 182 million TVL, and Ethereum is 22.5 billion. I'm pretty sure he wanted to illustrate that that is changing, that probably the total value locked on Cardano is coming up, just knowing him and how bullish he is on Cardano. But I couldn't quickly find a chart that illustrates that. So you can see there's quite a disparity currently, but I'm thinking he's probably saying that it's going in the direction towards Cardano. Let's go ahead and get into the market open. I've got Bitcoin's chart here pulled up, but you guys, I want to direct your attention here to oil, which is playing along a little bit. It's come back down. It was up $80 to $81. I think it might even have gotten higher than that, but it's back down. It's down 0.9% this morning. Natural gas playing along quite well, down 3.6%. So we want these energy prices to continue to come lower. Yesterday we take a look at the chart, so I'm not going to spend too much more time on this, but you are seeing that red candlestick putting it into a 3 green candlestick spree on the daily charts there for oil, for Brent crude. All right. Taking a look here at your indexes, they are opening up mixed. The Dow Jones actually leading, barely up 0.11, and the S&P down 0.2, NASDAQ down 0.5. So more than likely those mega cap tech stocks are kind of tripping over themselves this morning in the New York session open. But crypto pretty much red across the screen, seeing a couple of green names, Binance.
Not a lot, though.
Binance coin is up 1.7. kind of doing its own thing. Tron also up 0.2, and Lido up 0.3. But the rest of the names there are pretty much red. Snake getting a little bit of love here in the first 6 minutes. But taking a look here at your metals, silver selling off a good bit, down 2.2%, and gold down 1%. So seeing a general rotation out of the alternatives this morning. That could also be contributing to crypto sell-off this morning, but I think generally it's just kind of a little bit of a risked-off day, judging by the mega cap tech stocks, of which almost none are green except for Oracle, which I think I consider it a mega cap tech, but it's not like officially a FANG by any means. So Google down 1%, Tesla down 1%. There's not a single green name on there now at all. So moving along, bond yields coming up quite a bit this morning. The 5-year up 1.1%, 10-year up 1.2% on the yield side. Those in the early dated bonds clearly much higher than the latest dated 20 and 30 year. So that yield curve continues. Dixie coming up to 102.2. Let's take a look here really quickly at the Dixie on the daily chart. You can see it's in this overall downtrend here, but it's coming up to the top range of that downtrend. And you can see it's blown past the midline of the Bollinger Band there on the daily chart, and maybe making a run up to 103.3 potentially for the Dixie, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you, the specific number that it's going in. It's much more the direction that the Dixie is going in, the bearish direction for the market. The Dixie is an index of the dollar, and you want to see the dollar get cheaper, essentially, if you are in risk assets. All right, taking a look here at cannabis, red across the screen there. Mid-cap, red across the screen. Coinbase, maybe is it giving you an opportunity to get back into Coinbase? It's coming back. I got a price alert here at $85 per share on Coinbase. I don't know if I'm going to buy it there because it's still a little bit overbought. You could make the argument that's overbought. It's definitely overbought for this trend here, going back to June, early June. But in terms of where it's been in July, it's actually quite discounted, or at least getting down to at $85, it's discounted. So you can make your own determinations there. I don't know if I'm going to buy it yet. We'll see what my liquidity situation is. But Palantir, I'm going to highlight this one. It's only down 0.4%. That's actually a signal of strength considering what the rest of the mid cap and mega cap are doing. And just the rest of the market, guys, if we could get a candle close up above this blue box, again, this is the stock market, guys. This isn't crypto, so just keep that in mind. But if we can get a close above this blue box that I've drawn out, was a major line of resistance, and we could flip that into support. You can make the argument we already have. There's probably some support in between here that has now been flipped as we got that green candle body close on the daily chart here above 1875. But if we could get a candle body close there for today, that would be really nice. Just the whole, not even, I think the wick is barely even in that. So, I mean, it's my drawing, so it's not like the truth there of what this range of new support could be, but that's Palantir, PLTR, looking very strong. All right, taking a look here and at big banks. Just one more note on Palantir, because I would feel bad, guys. I'm not saying that this is a buy now. This is as you can see down in the oscillators. It's not necessarily saying it's under bought. In fact, it's quite the contrary. The prime oscillator is showing that it's nearing overbought. So you'd want to be careful buying this now. But I bought it further back. So just and now it's the only green name in the mid cap. So I'm just trying to show that it is signaling strength. What do you do in strength though? You sell into strength. So we'll see. I might be selling Palantir today. Not buying. I'm definitely not buying more. All right, moving along, guys. I know I've really beat that one to death. Big banks, red across the screen. Oil, red across the screen. Not a surprise there. And your crypto miners, not showing strength this morning. Going ahead and slipping down with the price of Bitcoin with BitF, which is Bitfarms Limited, down the most, down 5.8%. So if you're in those miners, if you've bought in the last 2 months, you're probably down on those today. Just I've got all these names right here. I've got all of them. I think I may have trimmed on Marathon because they had like a lawsuit class action going on, but I'm going to be holding those names just because I'm pretty confident in the crypto miners, as confident as I am in Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, you kind of have to be, right, Tim? I mean, we never really thought about that. If you have conviction in Bitcoin, wouldn't you be similarly, if not more, maybe not more, but as convicted in the miner stocks?
Well, you would right now. I mean, there's obviously, the more you know, you're gonna want to get out of miner stocks towards the top, obviously, and then you're gonna want to be in down right here. So and it's one of those things like, yeah, like if you want to trade it, go ahead and trade it or whatever. But I think those minor stocks potentially could be very interesting for just long-term holds. And we'll just watch those continue to grow. It'll be interesting to see when governments, because I do believe there will be a day and age where governments get heavily involved in mining. Because again, there's going to be a point where not a lot of money is going to be left to be made when it comes to Bitcoin mining. And what's going to happen is to make sure no one country gains too much control, because the first country that realizes, oh my gosh, why don't we mine Bitcoin? And have, not only get Bitcoin, but have more control over it. There's going to be this like regulatory pull between China wants to do it. So United States needs to make sure they mine as well to limit China's power. But then also Russia's going to want to mine. And then, England's going to want to mine. And all of Europe's going to want to mine, and Africa and Canada and South America. You're going to have countries start mining just to keep one country from gaining too much power in Bitcoin, because as we talked about before, Bitcoin is not just a revolution when it comes to money. It could also be weaponized, one country against the other. So you want to see a nice wrestle. And at that point, it will be interesting to see what happens to mining companies, because again, the profitability won't be there. It'll be more of a power struggle. And for those reasons, the governments will be more involved. But that was a long way to say, long term, you might not want to be invested like for the next 10, 15 years there, but for the next bull market, next couple of years, I do think mining companies, you can still make a lot of money.
For sure. And ADA Ace went ahead and
yes,
expanded on his description here. Said January 1st, 263 million ADA. Today, 582 million ADA. Total value locked. Percentage change plus 121%. Versus ETH, we'll go ahead and skip to the chase here. It's actually down 71%. That's surprising if that's accurate since January 1st.
Yeah.
I don't have any reason to question ADA Ace in the Discord, which you guys should absolutely go check out. In the Investing Bros Discord, ADA Ace is known for posting some very sophisticated charts, in my opinion. He's always posting prices compared to ADA, which, you're only really doing that if you're actually trading degen coins on ADA or non-degen. Degen's a little bit of a strong word I don't want to offend anybody, but And then we also got some awesome 5 Investing Bros membership from Mr. J. So that is super big. Got Crypto Frankie Poo, got a membership. Christopher Medina got a membership. BG, Puddles, and Cam Young all got memberships. So, and then Alex Green said loads of gifts. So, hey, Mr. J, making it happen this morning. for the Investing Bros. Thank you so much, my man. Really big shout out to you.
That's a nice segue into our community, because today we have our silver bro time at 3 p.m. You definitely want to be a part of that. But now all 5 of those new members get to be there. You guys can come in, ask us questions. It'll be a private YouTube video. We can talk TA, we can talk crypto, we can talk stocks, we can talk our personal lives, whatever you guys want to hear about. That is just for you guys to come hang out with us. So make sure all of our new members and all of our silver members come in and join us this afternoon. Some other announcements we have as we are kind of in the community time here. Tomorrow, we have a guest. Did we find out who our guest was tomorrow, T-Shroom?
We do not have a guest, and that is why I have tweeted. So we had a guest who...
And he got canceled, yeah.
Did not... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have posted in the Investing Bros Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter. Go ahead and tell us who our guest should
Twitter,
be.
It's X. Listen,
so
you got to get things right. If we're going to be on top of the game here, T-Shroom, we got to get things right.
Onto the platform formerly known as Twitter. Go ahead and hit us up on there and let us know who you want to see on the Investing Bros. I don't know why we've never, maybe we have asked that, but go let us know. It doesn't mean we're going to do it, but we would love to see what your suggestions are. All influences of all shapes and sizes are welcome. Again, doesn't mean we're going to do it, but we'll consider it for sure. Absolutely. Especially if you're somebody who's gifting 5 memberships, your contribution to that tweet, is going to carry some weight. So for sure. Yeah. And then also we have,
good.
Well, let's say our announcements at the same time. 3, 2, 1, tactical trades.
Okay. There we go.
Is that what you were going to say?
No, I was going to say something else, but let's go with tactical trades.
Yeah, we've got tactical trades tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
And guys, you're going to love it. Tonight's tactical trades, we're going to be covering all the trending coins and any coins or stocks that you guys want TA on. But the catch is that they're going to be done very tactically. So if you're not ready for that, then don't be in the chat. Okay. Don't watch it live.
We could go ahead and spoil it and just tell you it's going to be probably a lot of short setups, the way the markets are looking right now. We'll see if there's any long ones, but you got to come at 6 p.m. to check it out.
Palantir.
Now, I was going to say, T-Shroom, what I was going to say was there's a couple other things happening today. So I will be on ATB tonight at 5 p.m. So it's a full day for me, very full day. Tuesdays are now my long days. I'm here at the office till almost like 7 p.m. now. But on top of that, we will also have our X Spaces tomorrow night. You guys know now Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Investing Bros.
We bring on our X's.
Yeah, we bring on. No, we don't do that. No. Oof. No, we don't.
Gosh, that would be crazy. Right. That would be a crazy show.
It would be entertaining.
Tom Crown should do that. You know how Tom Crown's always posting pictures of him with those ladies? He should bring all those ladies to a facility and go live and talk to him, do TA.
Yeah,
I'll pitch it to him.
That'd be something. Yeah. That's a good idea. This got derailed, guys. That is our community. Make sure you guys come in and tune in all those things. And again, I want to say we're at 92 likes right now. We still have 120 people watching. Go ahead and continue to smash that like button. Let's get it up higher. The offer always still stands, guys. I will give away 2 memberships anytime we hit 150 likes while live, or if we get 20 subscribers while live, I'll give away 5. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Again, we're less than 100. I think when I just checked here a second ago, we're now sitting, I refresh the page now. We're now sitting at 3,905 on subscribers. So 95 more subscribers till we hit 4,000. It's going to be a big deal. We're going to celebrate. With that said, though, T-Shroom, it is 9:48, which means we only have 12 minutes left to do some discussions and some headlines. What are we looking at this morning? Starting off with Mr. Hart.
Mr. Hart.
What's happening over there, T-Shroom?
Absolutely. And before we even get to that, Tim mentioned it in the TA, but $20, 20 USD could be all yours if you go sign up for BitGet today. If you already have an account, you can make another one. It was revealed to me from a little bird that told me about that. $20, guys, could be all yours. You could get yourself 2 Starbucks. You could get yourself...
Twitter bird? The Twitter bird told you that?
Yeah, maybe. An expert.
As he was flying south for the winter?
Yeah, it was an organism that was previously a bird. It was an ex-bird. All right, moving along, we're going to go ahead and get into the stories. But guys, really consider this BitGet offer from the Investing Bros. Look at that. Look at this awesome graphic that BitGet made for us. Somebody over at the BitGet headquarters made that. All right, going ahead and taking a look here at our stories, the SEC charges Hex founder Richard Hart with 1 billion unregistered securities offerings. So they go ahead and do it to Richard. And we won't get into the details too much here because you've probably already seen this. This came out yesterday, but we do our shows live in the morning. They also said, though, that the one detail I found kind of amusing, Hart and Pulse Chain are also both facing charges for allegedly using $12 million in the offering proceeds to buy luxury goods, including a 555-carat black diamond called the Enigma, which I didn't know the carat scale went that high. But yes, Richard Hart is being sued along with Pulse Chain, PulseX, and Hex, which all kind of run in the same circles. Tim, this is where we'll probably camp out, and then the rest of the headlines will be more than likely just red headlines. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Richard Hart had it coming? Do you think the SEC making the right move here? What's the skinny?
Yeah. Well, listen, I already saw in chat that there are a lot of people who are almost acting like this is a good thing. I want you guys to know. I put I almost said a tweet. I put on X yesterday about this. Whatever you feel about Richard Hart, and I'm going to be very honest with you guys, I'm not necessarily the biggest Richard Hart fan myself. I don't plan on ever holding X. I don't know if I fully Hex. I don't trust it. I don't trust the tokenomics there. There's a lot to get into. That's not what we're jumping into and breaking down Hex in this video. What I want to talk about is the principle of the whole thing. The first thing I want to say is whether you love, hate, or mixed feelings about Richard Hart, everyone can agree that if it came down between getting rid of Richard Hart or Gary Gensler, we're all choosing Gary Gensler. But what's unfortunately happening, very similar to kind of stuff with XRP, we are seeing people kind of tribalize and get excited about Richard Hart when in reality, the friend or the enemy of our enemy is our friend. And Richard Hart is the enemy of Gary Gensler. And we're choosing Gary Gensler in this fight. We're rejoicing that Richard Hart's getting sued. My other statement, and I'm teaching him I talked about this morning, has there been a lick of evidence actually said? Like, you can say whatever you want about outlandish spending, but isn't Richard Hart extremely wealthy? Didn't Richard Hart buy Bitcoin extremely low and sell it at the peak there at $69,000? Didn't he start a coin that, again, whether you like the tokenomics or not, does extremely well when it comes to trading? Well, guess what? When you start a coin and people are trading it at that high, the amount of money you can make without stealing it or using investors' funds is extremely high. I believe I saw a video the other day. He's given over $27 million to charity. The man's extremely wealthy. So just because we've seen videos of him walking out of a store that he probably dropped $200,000 spending at that store, just because we've seen him buy outlandish things, and I think that story talked about a diamond. Why are we just assuming that the SEC is right here in their accusation that he used customer funds? There's been no evidence of that. It's simply a claim. And that takes me even further is, haven't we here recently heard the SEC admit that they don't actually get any evidence before they make their claims, before they go after companies? In fact, they don't even need to explain themselves. When Brian Armstrong asked why they thought all these coins were securities, they literally answered, we talked about this yesterday, they literally answered, we don't need to explain ourselves to you, just listen. There's no evidence here. And in the same thing with XRP, love, hate, whatever it was XRP, I always thought it was a mistake when Cardano, Ethereum, Solana, you name it, when those communities went after XRP and almost applauded and said, oh, we're so glad that the SEC is coming down on XRP. That tribalism backfired when the SEC went after all your other altcoins. This is not something to gang up with Gary Gensler against Richard Hart. This is something to say, you know what? Whether I agree with Hex, whether I agree with Richard Hart on things, he is better than Gary Gensler. And what is happening is a continuation of injustice where Gary and his goons think that they can just throw out any accusation they want and have it stick and affect people. This is something to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. This is not okay. And in reality, we would rather have Richard Hart than Gary Gensler. So anyone who has, you're welcome to have your opinion. You're welcome to continue to not want to invest in Hex. You're welcome to continue to say, I don't trust Richard Hart. I don't like him. But please, please, please do not repeat the same mistakes we just did with XRP. We need to be in a place where we make it clear what Gary and the SEC is doing, just blatantly going after people with no evidence and no real accusations whatsoever, just wanting to put out headlines. That is wrong, and it needs to be put to it. And for that reason, on this issue, I stand with Richard Hart. I don't believe he did anything wrong until I see actual hardcore evidence. And at this point, with the track record of the SEC, I don't believe that evidence will be provided.
Yeah. And I pretty much agree with you, Tim. The only thing I would say is if I'm Louis Vuitton, I'm sweating because it seems like all the pictures I see of Richard Hart, he's the one keeping Louis Vuitton in business. That's where I'll leave it. Taking a look here at
you might not be wrong.
taking a look here at the rest of the headlines here. Binance wins operational license in Dubai. This did happen yesterday. I don't think that we reported on it though, so just want to bring that to you guys. They are now eligible users in Dubai will now be able to access authorized services, Binance said. Binance has also won an operational license in Dubai, step 3 of 4, to be fully regulated in the jurisdiction. So that's great for them. I believe they're the first to obtain this license. I think I saw that another exchange now has that license as well. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. Maybe inform me in the chat if I'm wrong about this, but I feel like people in Dubai were buying crypto already. So Binance is
big deal. The big deal here is the institutional side, like Binance working with institutions to get them. That's big news. That is very big news because there's a lot of money. There's a lot of institutional money in Dubai.
Yeah.
This is a headline it's not going to catch the sexiest headlines, like the sexy eyeballs, but it is a big headline. It is very important for Binance. One of the reasons why BNB token is up today, I believe.
That's right. And Tim said it well. It's not going to catch the sexy eyeballs like WorldCoin did. Taking a look here, the IRS says staking reward is taxable income in the latest revenue ruling. So while Dubai is moving up, the IRS is moving down. But hey, at least they're recognizing crypto as legitimate a little bit more. I don't know if IRS is really the institutional one doing that, but Tron founder Justin Sun alleviates Curve Finance's looming bad debt situation. I thought I'd bring this to your attention because Curve is definitely in the headlines, and Tron founder Justin Sun is trying to make it seem like he is doing the right thing and helping them out. I don't have any reason to believe that what he's doing isn't helping, but I would say, the fact that we're reading this headline is probably more evidence that he thinks he can get some good PR out of saving the day. Again, I don't know the facts on that, but that's kind of the way that I'm reading that optically. Taking a look at the next headline here. This one's a little bit deeper. So Bald Token rug pull may have links to the Sam Bankman-Fried Alameda data shows. We'll I don't know if we'll linger on this one for a lot of time, but Wintermute's head of research, Igor, I'm not, man.
Yeah, don't even try that one. Yeah.
Igamberdiev. Nailed it.
Nope,
tied another he tied a wallet address to Alameda, stating its owner showed strong technical capabilities and proved to be a savvy DeFi user, trading on the first version of DYDX and Oasis, as well as voting on the first proposals from SushiSwap. So whoever was operating this address, operated in a way that this analyst, Igor, was pretty sure that it had to be Alameda or somebody on the team or somebody of the same level of sophistication. So, that's an interesting debut for the chain there on Coinbase. Well, do you have any thoughts on this one, Tim? It seems a little bit like...
Yeah, I want to look more into this, and I know it's a topic that's going to be covered a little bit more on today's BitBoy show. So I know Ben knows a lot more about this topic, so I'm interested even to hear more what he's going to say. I'm tempted, though, to believe that the ties... I think Sam Bankman-Fried, as terrible of a human as he was, has really not done that much recently and is continuing to be a scapegoat for other people. I think when we all say Sam Bankman-Fried, can we not all agree at this point? We're talking about Sam's parents and Sam's handlers. I think that Sam is just sitting in his bedroom playing League of Legends and eating a cucumber right now. I don't think he had anything to do with Bald Token. But what's going to happen is his handlers were involved here, and they're going to use his when things get released, they're going to do everything in his name to make it look like it was him. There's a part, it's hard to feel bad for Sam, but there's moments in time where I'm like, I feel a little bad for Sam because he literally is a scapegoat for several other people that are really the real evil geniuses of the whole operation. I don't think he's that smart. I don't think Sam Bankman-Fried's that smart to really be as bad as people all paying him out to be.
I think he's the scapegoat. I think in the scenario where he's the scapegoat, yeah, you could feel bad for him. I think there is a chance though that he is not as much of the scapegoat as some of the media is making him out to be. But who's to say?
Well, I think he did a lot back at actually being at FTX, but when everything started going down, I think he stopped it. I think he literally just went to his dungeon and started playing League of Legends. But all these other things that keep coming out about him, I don't know if it was him. I think it's, again, his parents, his lawyers, his handlers. There's a better name for it. Let me know in chat. But I think there are SBF people, and they're the ones who are guilty of all this stuff. Not necessarily. I don't think Sam Bankman-Fried's in his room right now still trying to manipulate crypto and stuff. I think he's tuned. I think he's checked out. I think he's checked out for a long time.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that is kind of our analysis on that. This is a good headline here, a bullish headline. Etihad Air. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I've seen it a lot because they're like sponsors in the Premier League. But Etihad Airways Horizon Club Web3 loyalty program will let you stake NFTs for miles. So that's pretty cool. That's something that I would actually be interested in looking into. I don't fly in the Middle East very often, or ever. Full disclosure, I would like to, but yeah, that's what it is, guys. That's a pretty encouraging headline. And then lastly, bringing it back to Florida, Justin, presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, maybe you've heard of him. He says Biden's war on Bitcoin and crypto will end when I become president. That's Ron DeSantis speaking up for the little guy. Tim, are you buying it, or is he just trying to get votes?
Listen, guys, I like DeSantis. He's not gonna be running on the Republican ticket. I've been underwhelmed with his campaign so far. He's got a lot of time to change things, but as it stands right now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys, my prediction is we will get a rematch of Trump versus Biden. The question is, will both of them be in prison while they're running for president? Could be very interesting. You never want to tune out of American politics. We are the most entertaining government in the entire world.
I disagree with that, but
well, let us know in chat. Name a more entertaining government than the U.S. government. With that said, though, guys, that is all we have for today. It is 10:01. We got to tune out. Maybe we'll continue that conversation in bro time today. But with that said, guys, on your way out, smash that like button. If this was your first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button and helping us get to 4,000 subscribers here very, very soon. That being said, we'll see you tonight in the bro times and our tactical trades. The rest of you, we'll see you tomorrow morning. You guys have a great day.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.